Chapter 5. Communion through Renunciation. Arjuna said, O Krishna, thou praisest in one breath both abandonment of works and communion through their performance. Now tell me with certainty which of them leads to one's good. The Blessed Lord said, both abandonment of works and communion through works lead to liberation. But of them, communion through work excels over abandonment of work. O mighty armed one, whoever hates not nor desires should be known as one established in renunciation. Indeed, one who is above such contraries is easily liberated from bondage. It is only the childish and not the wise that speak of samkhya, or knowledge accompanied by abandonment of work, and yoga, or communion through detached and dedicated work, as different. A person well established in even one of these attains the end that is the common goal of both. The state which one attains by samkhya, that same state is attained by yoga too. He who sees both samkhya and yoga as one sees indeed. O mighty armed Arjuna, true abandonment of work is difficult to practice for one who is not accomplished in the yoga discipline of detached work, but the sage accomplished in yoga attains to Brahman in no long time. One who is established in selfless and detached action, who is pure, whose mind and senses are under control, and whose self is identified with the self of all, he is never bound, though he be engaged in work. I, the self, do not. Only the senses are occupied with their objects. This should be the conviction of one who is detached in action and established in the truth, even while seeing, hearing, touching, smelling, eating, conversing, holding, walking, giving up, winking, and even sleeping. One who resigns all his actions to Brahman and works without any personal attachments is not soiled by sin, as a lotus leaf is not wetted by water. For the attainment of mental purity, spiritual aspirants perform action devoid of attachment, with their body, mind, intellect, or even merely with the senses. By abandoning the fruits of action, a man of restrained mind attains to abiding peace, but the one with unrestrained mind, being prompted by desire for the fruits of action, gets bound. A self-controlled soul, having abandoned all work mentally, resides at ease in this corporeal mansion with 9 gates, neither working nor causing work to be done. In regard to all beings in this world, the sovereign soul is not the cause of the sense of agency, nor of actions, nor of the fruition of actions. It is nature that does all this. The all-pervading being does not accept the sins or merits of anyone. Knowledge of the divine spirit is veiled in ignorance, and therefore beings are deluded. But in the case of those whose ignorance has been destroyed by the knowledge of the Atman, to them that knowledge reveals the supreme truth, as the sun does the objects of the world. Those who think of him always, who are ever at one with him, who are deeply devoted to him, and who look upon him as their goal, get purified of their sins by divine knowledge, and go to the state from which there is no return to worldly life. Enlightened men are those who see the same in a Brahmana with learning and humility, in a cow, in an elephant, and even in a dog or in an eater of dog meat. Even here in this embodied state, the cycle of births and deaths has been overcome by those who have this vision of sameness in all. Verily, Brahman is the unsullied and the pure. Therefore are those seers of sameness said to be established in Brahman. Unperturbed and undiluted, a knower of Brahman, who is established in him, neither rejoices at pleasant experiences, nor gets agitated at unpleasant ones. An aspirant who is unattached to the contactual experiences of the external world gains the joy that is in the self within. He thereby enjoys unending bliss with his mind absorbed in communion with Brahman, who is both within and without. Whatever enjoyments are there born of sense contact, they are sources of suffering only, for they are with a beginning and an end. A wise man finds no delight in them. Here, even while in the body, whoever is able to withstand the agitation caused by lust and anger, he is the self-controlled one. He is the happy man. The yogin whose happiness is within, whose resting place is within, who likewise experiences the light within, he realizes himself to be the spirit and attains to beatitude in Brahman. Verily they attain to beatitude in Brahman who are sinless, whose doubts have been destroyed, whose self is under their control, and who rejoice in the good of all. To those self-controlled ones who are free from lust and anger, who have controlled their minds and who have known their real nature as the spirit, the attainment of beatitude in Brahman is near at hand. Excluding all sense perceptions, fixing the look between the eyebrows, steadying the flow of outgoing breath and incoming breath through the nostrils, controlling the senses, mind, and intellect, devoid of desires, fear, and anger, and aspiring for liberation alone, a meditative sage so established is liberated forever. Knowing me, the recipient of all worship and austere practices, the supreme Lord of all the worlds, and the friend of all beings, man attains to eternal peace.